Today we're making a Mexican pizza, and the first thing you're gonna do is crisp up a low-carb tortilla. This one, I just threw it in the air fryer. You can also fry them in oil. It'll be much better that way, but I started tracking my macros and it's just not the best idea to fry this in a ton of avocado oil. So we're gonna do that, and then now we're going to add our meat, which normally I would use ground beef, but Anna likes ground turkey, so she got this. And I was originally going to use it to make these Greek spinach feta burgers that she loves. But the spinach we had went bad, so I was like, all right, let me do something else with it. So this is also pretty low calorie, so this is like a very macro friendly meal. You're gonna add your ground turkey on top of the tortilla like this. And now we're just gonna add a little bit of cheese. And we're gonna do cheese on 2 different layers. I'm just doing a little bit to like hold it together on this one. All right, so we got the tortilla, the ground turkey, the cheese, and another tortilla that has been crisped up. It's faster if you have an oven and don't have an air fryer to just broil it. So boom, just like this. And now what we're gonna do is add some enchilada sauce. I have the can somewhere around here. I'll check how many carbs exactly it has. I think it's like 6 for a 1/4 cup, and we're not using anywhere near a 1/4 cup. All right, so probably like 2 tablespoons. So 3 net carbs. But what I also am gonna do is add some nacho cheese. This is totally optional. Got your book. Hey, thank you, Schmal. So the brand of tortilla I'm using is called Extreme Wellness. So I'm adding a little bit of nacho cheese too. This is just store-bought. You can make your own. You need just like heavy cream, butter, cheddar cheese. It's very easy. All right, so we got the nacho cheese, the enchilada sauce. Now we're just gonna add some tomatoes and shredded cheese and then air fry it. Very simple. Who else just loves nacho cheese so much that you could literally drink it? Am I the only one? Where do you get the book? You can get it on Amazon. Thank you for sharing that, Angela. Thank you, Jen. You guys are awesome. Love this lifestyle thanks to your book and lives. Hey, I love to hear it, Alicia. All right, guys, so all we do now, add the rest of the cheese. The ground turkey I'm using was cooked in a lot of taco seasoning. So that's where like the seasoning comes in. And it wouldn't be a Mexican pizza without some tomatoes on top. Honestly, if you're using the 0 carb tortillas and you're making like a mini one, you could get away, if you really just love Mexican pizzas, you could get away with like 2 or 3 tablespoons of refried beans just to give it that vibe, because they don't have a ton of carbs if you're just using a very small amount like that. A lot of keto people would avoid those just because, oh, they're beans, they're not keto. But if you have 2 tablespoons of something, whether you're doing low carb or keto, 2 tablespoons of beans would not kick you out of ketosis. So that's why I'm saying, if you're using super low carb tortillas already, you can probably get away with that if you just really want it to taste exactly like the real thing. All right, so our Mexican pizza is now almost ready. Oh, so for the person who asked what my book is called, thank you for sharing that, Jen. Yes, it's called Carefree Keto. You can see it behind me. All right, boom, into the air fryer. I'm gonna put this in the dishwasher. Everything in keto is moderation or small amounts, like you said. Yeah, I think that's how a lot of us do it. Other people do it differently, and that's good. Like, that's okay too. But I do just find it easier to just really worry about counting my carbs or now counting my macros, getting my protein goal. Like, if I can keep my carbs low and my protein high, and I just let my fat fall where it falls, well, especially if I'm tracking like calories, the fat will limit itself. And if you have stored body fat and you're in ketosis, you have unlimited energy. Like, that's one thing that I just want to talk about too. Let me put these in the air fryer. So 400, I don't know how long, maybe 8 minutes, we'll see, once the cheese melts. But if you're doing keto and you're trying to just like track your calories, or you don't want to just go crazy high fat, you can do high protein, low carb and not worry about not having energy, because if you have a lot of weight to lose, your body will use that stored fat for energy. That's the whole point of ketosis. So that's just one thing to consider. Like, for me, using the ground turkey in this recipe, and another hack you can do that I actually did too, just to make it very macro friendly. I had this today. So I'm kind of like calorie pinching right now, and I don't want to promote that behavior, but I'll show you guys what it looked like. Where is it? I don't know if like music is playing in the background. I hope not, but so I had, it is. So I had these ham roll-ups with cream cheese, broccoli, and cheddar, and I had like a lot of cream cheese while I was making the recipe. So as someone who does track, I was like backed into a corner today where, crap, I don't have a lot to eat left. And if I'm still hungry after I load up on protein, veggies, and eat a meal like this, I don't care what the app tells me, I'm going to eat. But in general, you can get yourself, oh, so you guys didn't hear the music, good. Okay, I don't want to get copyright, whatever. But yeah, so back to what I was talking about. So had a ton of cream cheese today, which if I would have just had one serving of that recipe I just showed you, it would be fine. But because I made that and I just was eating the cream cheese while I was doing the video, it's like, I probably shouldn't do the 80-20 ground beef on this recipe, and I probably shouldn't add 2 ounces of regular Mexican cheese. So one thing I did was I did half regular Mexican cheese and half fat-free cheese, which the fat-free cheese by itself is disgusting. It tastes like rubber. Don't eat it. But if you do half and half, it's a good way to save on calories while also, you know, not tasting terrible. So you guys heard the music, right? Hopefully I don't get, this doesn't get taken down for copyright, but we're going to check on the pizza. It's looking really good. I mean, the whole thing is cooked. Like, everything is warm. I'm just gonna air broil it because at this point we're just trying to warm up the enchilada sauce and melt the cheese. All right, thank you for that, Shelly. Yeah, it was more just like a noise in the background. Yeah, Adriana, the fat-free cheese is a great tool to, like, if you're counting calories and trying to limit it, because you're already eating plenty of fat. Like, if I eat a ribeye for dinner and I put a protein shake and some like heavy cream in my coffee, and I have eggs for breakfast that were cooked in butter, like, I'm getting plenty of fat. I don't need to also get a ton of fat from wanting my Mexican pizza to be drenched in cheese. So that's like something I can do where I'll do like half and half sometimes. I also do it on my regular low carb tortilla pizzas. I'll do half mozzarella, half of the fat-free mozzarella. And Amanda, yeah, the fillers, like the extra cornstarch they're using or whatever, that's something also to consider. But the amount of carbs, we can look at it. I don't think it adds that many carbs. All right, these are almost done. Yeah, so a lot of shredded cheese is 2 net carbs. This fat-free mozzarella is also 2 net carbs. And if you see on the ingredient label, there are some things I can't pronounce, and that is a sign that it has some weird ingredients. But you know what? If you're the type of person who just is willing to just not worry about that stuff and you just want to eat healthy so you can be at a healthy weight, I think being at a healthy weight is more important than avoiding chemicals. If you can do both, that's obviously optimal. But if you're just dying for mouth pleasure and you can't lose weight with the way you're doing keto, and you have 2 options, right? The options could be, people are like, okay, you have to go full paleo keto where you only eat real food. You don't eat any fun keto food. That's what a lot of people would tell you. They would say, you'll get used to it. And then other people would say, you have to track your calories. That way you can enjoy the fun keto food in moderation. And I agree that if you eat mostly real food, it is easier to succeed without counting calories. So that's one thing. I lost weight at the beginning of my keto journey while eating fun keto foods, while also not counting calories. So that's also something that can happen for a lot of people. But if that way of eating is not working for you, you do kind of have to go down one path or the other of like more macro focused, tracking focused, but having fun keto foods, or cut out all the fun foods, just eat ribeyes and Brussels sprouts all day, and the weight will just come off either way, because that's just how it works. Like, if you're just eating tons of fun keto foods all day with no regard for how much you're eating, a lot of people may not see success with that approach. All right, so the Mexican pizza is done. Let's put it on a plate. And calculating macros is easy. If you download an app like MyFitnessPal, you can actually tell it that you're doing keto or tell it that you're doing low carb, and it will give you a macro goal. The only macro goal that I adhere to, though, really, is making sure my carbs are under the carb limit and making sure I get enough protein. And if I end up eating more protein than the app is telling me to, and less fat than the app is telling me to, I think that's fine. Because it's easy, like, it's much easier to fill myself up on a pound of chicken breast with like 2 tablespoons of ranch dressing than it is to fill myself up on, say, a 1/3 pound of chicken breast and a 1/2 cup of ranch dressing. Like, the 1/2 cup of ranch dressing and way less chicken breast is actually way more calories, but it's less filling to me, because ranch dressing, that kind of fat is just not real. It's like soybean oil. So that stuff may be high in fat. I know it's more keto, but it's less filling because it's super processed. All right, let's take a picture of this Mexican pizza. Ooh, yummy, yummy. Oh, this looks good. It's just kind of burnt on one side, so let's take a picture of the other side. I think the first picture is best, even though it's like super burnt. But, all right, here we go. And Jazz, so even if you make your own ranch dressing and it's not made with soybean oil, if you make it with, like, the thing is, fat in its natural form, such as a fatty ribeye, is, at least for me, is much harder to overeat than if I combine a healthy avocado oil with buttermilk and sour cream and make a ranch, right? it might not have the bad seed oils, but it still isn't that filling, because at the end of the day, it's just like a dressing that I could just eat with a spoon all day. Like, there's a certain point where, and I'm not saying it's bad to have the ranch, I'm just saying, for me, after tracking macros and for someone who isn't seeing success with how just doing keto, just intuitively, just counting their carbs and just winging it, you know, if you're not seeing results, kind of trying to limit or just be mindful of how much ranch I'm using and go protein heavy and just use the ranch to make it taste good. That's kind of what I'm getting at. All right, it's time to eat this Mexican pizza. Actually, we should take a picture now that I've cut it into 4 pieces. It looks much more like a Mexican pizza. Oh my god. I just licked my finger and yummy yum. Yeah, exactly. Use the ranch for taste, not just because you can. All right. And I'm sorry if I'm confusing people with all this macro talk. I just think I'm working on my way of communicating how people can do keto that aren't seeing results, because that is just something that I keep seeing over and over. Just more and more these days is like people are doing keto, they're sticking to it, they're eating 20 carbs, but they're not losing weight. And it's like my old theory that like, oh, if you just don't eat carbs, it's impossible to gain fat. I'm trying to get away from that and be like, look, it's still good not to eat carbs, but also just be mindful. So apologies if I'm confusing you guys with like my message around keto. Yummy, yummy. All right, this looks way better now that I've cut it. Here we go. Oh my god. This is so good. I went to college for communication and I dropped out after 2 years because I got my associate's degree and then I was gonna I went to like a community college and I was gonna transfer to another college and like finish my degree. But at the time I wanted to be a rapper and I was like, I'm committed, I'm gonna be a rapper, like I don't need college. And then that didn't work out, but that led me to becoming Keto Snacks. So I'm glad that it worked out the way it did. Oh my god. Alright guys. So good. Hey, thank you, Laura. Hey, thank you, Jen. Jazz, I was. Alright, guys. This was amazing. Go make it. Yes, I'm going to repost this, Shelly. Carol, so yes, the Keto Snacks with the Z makes sense now. I did make keto wraps, so the careers like intersected. I was committed to being a rapper from like 2013 to 2020. I started doing keto in 2016, and then I started my keto snacks page after I had lost all of the weight in 2018. And from 2018 to 2020, I was still doing keto snacks. And some of the people who were here at the very beginning remember I've played some of my keto raps. I used to make some songs about keto. But looking back on it, it's just so cringe that I can't go back and listen to them. It just physically hurts me to hear. But yeah, it was really fun. So, all right, guys. Nick's Nana, if you make it, let me know what you think. It's so good. Yeah, do this with chicken too, Debster. It would be delicious. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a blessed rest of your night.